In January of 2015, Stephen Heronemus, a sailor who has lived with ALS for over 10 years, joined forces with SEAS to launch an adaptive sailing initiative with a focus on the disabilities rendered by ALS. Its ultimate goal? To help those with life-altering disabilities experience the freedom and joy of sailing. On September 4th, using only a bite switch coupled to an autopilot and 2 touchpads for sail trim, Stephen Heronemus took his 83-year-old father for a sail in a 23-foot Sonar off the shores of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. At the time, he had no idea it would be their last sail together, because 12 days later, his father unexpectedly passed away. To Stephen, the quiet afternoon sail was a joyful return to something he loved. To his father, it was one of the most beautiful gifts he could have received from his son. And to other sailors with disabilities, it would further inspire SEAS to explore, develop, and refine the human interfaces necessary to provide any disabled person access to the wind and water. On September 23rd, the day after his father's memorial service, Steve took his son Matthew for a sail as a tribute to his father, the man who taught him to sail.
Is the cushion good, Dad? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, good. Good. All right, we'll lock it in place. Go back at this right there. Let us know if that's... how's the height to start with? Good, bad, good, good height. And then how about forward and back? We can bring it further forward or further back. So let's go further forward. No? Further back? Yeah? Okay.
That's screw. That's Allen wrenches.
Is that good? Yeah, right there. I think we need to go down a little bit. So you pretty happy there, Steve?
Wondering if it'd be easier the other way around, Steve, having these adjustments on the other end.
Starboard. Port. Is that good? All right, now I've got the plane right. I've only got the white
port one. Maybe move it. He's just barely catching it. We're just gonna move it a little closer.
Oh, beautiful.
Is it, yeah?
That's it.
Winner?
Okay, we did it.
Tiny bit steer.
After we sailed last time, it was pretty obvious that the bite switches on the flexible arm were moving around too much because we had to readjust them a couple of times. So I built a more solid bracket that's attached to the headrest. So when the headrest moves, the switches move exactly the same amount, and I think that'll work a lot better for Steve. It seems like it's working so far, but we'll see how it goes.
Trick, you want to come on board? Perfect. Excellent.
Nice job. Well, man, what do you think about all this? The first time out sailing with your dad in a while?
It's exciting. Yeah, absolutely.
You like to keep your dad sort of at about a 45-degree angle to the front of the boat. That way you can still see his sails and still see the water.
You're going a bit more. Yeah. So you can hopefully see a bit better now, Steve. Get some bit of trim in there, Steve. A little bit further away from this brake wall, Steve, so we don't touch the bottom of the boat. Perfect.
Take her a little bit to starboard, Steve. Haul her off a little bit.
Steve at Harkin made this new mount for the bite switches that actually connect to the actual headrest, so it's very stable now for Steve. That's the one change since last time, and then we also got the same cushion that Steve has in his wheelchair, a Roco cushion, which is now sat in, so we should be able to stay out a lot longer this time. But the sensitivity on one of the buttons to actually trim and ease, the little round disc buttons we had on the chair, one of them wasn't as sensitive as it was last time. So we managed to basically jury rig another switch to get him sailing today, which he's now actually using with his index finger, which seems pretty responsive. So this morning, before we came down to the yacht club, we stopped at the Windway office and met with Aaron and Bob. And Bob's working on this Sit Puff joystick that Steve we had to put in his hand, just like he uses his wheelchair joystick, and the hope that we can just use that one joystick with his one hand to push away to trim in, pull towards to ease, and then port and starboard.
Nick and I, we're going to give these guys a chance to sail on their own, a little father and son sail. See the tip of his sail.
We're just going to follow him and see where he goes.
Think the fog will lift?
I hope so.
Well, great, he's got the compass on there now, so he knows what angle he's going.
Right. Definitely we need to do some work with the hand buttons to figure out exactly the right buttons. The touchpad that Nick pulled out of the trailer seems like a pretty good solution. With all of these buttons, none of the stuff that we're buying is IP rated for being in this kind of an environment, so it's going to be a challenge to keep things from corroding and dealing with moisture, but we'll get it figured out.
Nobody goes looking for ALS. It just happens. An invariably fatal neurological disorder that attacks the nerve cells responsible for controlling voluntary muscles, such as those in the arms, legs, and face. A condition which over time ceases the very things that we take for granted. The ability to walk, dress, write, speak, swallow, and even breathe. Yet over 6,000 people are diagnosed with it every year, and over 30,000 people live with it at any one time. Stephen Heronemus has beat the odds, and despite his inability to walk, talk, or even breathe on his own, continues to work with Seas in an effort to bring the joy and freedom of sailing to disabled people everywhere. Seize the day. Help make someone's dream come true. Make a financial or in-kind contribution to Seas today.